Deputy now, Deputy Róisín Shortall, sharing with Deputy Ryan and Deputy Martin.
Thank you very much, Count Corday. I represent the Dublin North West constituency, and that has the distinction of being the only constituency in the Dublin area which is entirely dependent on buses. We have no other options in terms of other kind of transport modes. And I have to say I'm a very big fan of Dublin Bus. In the main, the services, the Dublin Bus services in Dublin North West are excellent services. We have very good frequency and very good choice of service on the main routes, and indeed many of our buses also go right into housing estates and serve what is predominantly a kind of older profile constituency and serve those areas very well. In recent times, I think our big problem has been a lack of capacity, with more people at work and greater populations around the area, and there is need for better capacity. And while we have pretty good orbital services, there is a need for further ones. And of course, a lot of the problems associated with Dublin Bus at the moment are as a result of the underinvestment by government. And I think all of us, when we go abroad and we marvel at the great public transport systems in other European capitals, the reality is, of course, that those services in the main are very highly subsidised. There's a recognition that if you want capital cities to work, you have to subsidise the public transport and ensure that you get commuter traffic, car traffic out of the cities. But unfortunately this government doesn't recognise the need to do that, and Dublin Bus remains fairly well starved of funding, certainly relative to other capital cities in Europe. In relation to the proposals before us then in BusConnects, I mean, on the surface they seem to be positive, talking about greater frequency, greater clarity, priority for buses, and of course safer cycling infrastructure in conjunction with the new proposed infrastructure. And that all seems very positive. The difficulty, of course, is that the infrastructural changes are separate to the network changes, and the consultation on both of those elements have been separated completely. So there's been no consultation yet on the infrastructure, and we've been talking about the network changes. The difficulty with the network changes is that it's been extraordinarily difficult for people to actually find out what is being proposed. The quality of the maps and the quality of the consultation has been extremely poor, and I think most of us spent the summer trying to figure out exactly what it was that BusConnects is proposing. And when you look at the detail of it, certainly insofar as how it affects my constituency of Dublin North West, the first thing is that there are several local services that currently go into housing estates that are being proposed to be removed entirely. Now, that results in a lot of people having to walk much longer distances in order to access a bus. And I mean, I asked this question at the launch of BusConnects and didn't get a satisfactory answer. It strikes me that there was very little, if any, consideration given to the needs of older people and people with disabilities, and there was no emphasis on that whatsoever in the report or indeed in the launch. And that's, borne out by the fact that so many of those local services that currently go into housing estates are being, the proposal is to remove them completely. And you'd say, OK, well, you might lose out on that, but there's benefits in other ways. But then when you look at the other ways and you look at the spines, and again, the spines, in theory, it sounds fine. When you look at the spines, for example, we have very good bus services, as they running through all of the main thoroughfares in the Dublin North West area. What, in fact, now is the implication of BusConnects for the eastern side of my constituency is that where currently people get a great service that takes them down to Dorset Street, All Parnell Square, O'Connell Street, the main shopping area for people from the north side, a number of entertainment locations and so on, that service is being withdrawn entirely. So this main road service taking you right into the centre of town being withdrawn entirely. And, there's huge implications for that. So look, what I would say is that there are winners and losers, but when you actually look at the detail, there's more losers than winners. And for that reason, I think we need to go back to the drawing board.